Hi, travel lovers. It's me again, Dominic. Okay. Um, since I've very stressful experiences now, so I'm just going to tell you now. I might as well just continue now and explain to you how I'm taking this trip to Harbin in China. That's northern China. It's close to the Russian border. It's about I think it's about 350 kilometers from the Russian border. I may go to Russia, but I'm thinking about that right now, whether I'm going there. But I have to make this trip to northern China first. It's called Harbin, and it's the ice city of China. At this point, Harbin is a very cool place. Apparently they have Siberian weather. This morning I last checked, the temperature in Harbin is like -5 degrees Celsius. That's very cold. When I was in China in February this year in Yunnan, I thought it was not cold at all, but apparently it was pretty cold. It was -5. -5 was, well, it's tremendous, man. So this trip to Harbin, I mean, during the daytime it's -5, and during the nighttime it can drop down to, well, -8 or -10. Well, I've been to those weather before because I had studied in the United States before, so I do understand a little bit about what really cold weather is about. And if you're not really well prepared for cold weather, you have to, because once you get out of the plane and off you go outside, it's like something very cold will hit you. And then the next thing you will feel is your hands are getting numb, your ears, your nose are all getting numb. Even though I'm wearing t-shirt and shorts right now, but this is only for temporary because I'm now in Kuala Lumpur, and in Kuala Lumpur the weather is very pleasant, hot and humid, so it's fine right now. But once I'm in Singapore at the terminal, I'll be changing. I have to change. I have to put on my my long johns and thermal underwear and all that, just to get ready before I get off the plane in Harbin and in Harbin proper. Okay, there are a few ways you can go to Harbin from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, the first way is you can actually fly any of the Chinese airlines from here in Kuala Lumpur, and then you transit in either Beijing, Guangzhou, Canton, Hong Kong, one of those big cities like Shanghai, and then from there you flew onwards to Harbin. Harbin is actually in the northeastern part of China. It's the whole province was actually Manchuria at one point, and well, it's pretty historical, and there are a lot of Russian and European influences in that area actually. So yeah, you can take any of the Chinese airplanes, or you can take Mars, and then you come up in Beijing or Shanghai or Hong Kong or wherever it is, and then you transit. But I refuse to do that because, again, this is also not my first trip to Harbin. I had been to Harbin, well, last time I think I was there was like 8 years ago, I guess, and it was summer. Well, even though it's summer, it's like in the 70s. It's very pleasant, but it's always raining. So this time is cold. It's very cold. In fact, now it's November already. So okay, how am I doing it? I'm flying by an airline called Scoot. Okay, Scoot is a budget airline under Singapore Airlines, and Scoot does flies from Kuala Lumpur and to Singapore, and then from Singapore I transit at Terminal 2 in Singapore, and then onwards to Harbin. Why am I doing that? Because I don't want to transit in China. And if any of you had been to China before, I'm sure you have that odd experience. I mean, the many kinds of people, and they're rushing and they're impatient, and everybody just want to rush. And the other thing is that Chinese airplanes always delay. This is what I found out. They always delay. So the last time when I went to China, in fact, I had a 2.5 hours delay in Kuala Lumpur before I end up in Beijing. And when I was in Beijing, I was actually late for the other flight already. And in fact, the flight had took off already. So I wasn't able to take that flight. So yeah, that's one of the things. That's why I'm doing Scoot, and then Scoot will transit me in Singapore, and then when I get to Harbin, it's Harbin, and when I go out of the immigration, boom, it's a town, it's a city. Okay, so you don't have to worry about all those number of people, all the oh man, I had all that bad experiences. And this is my this is the A notification. Okay, this is the A notification, or you can call it an A ticket, but I call it A notification. My flight is going to be tonight from here to Singapore at 9:20, and that's why I'm always very prepared. This is not my first travels. I have been traveling quite often now. It's just that I'm making this video for you to know that some of you may want to know how you want to book your tickets, or how you want to get to, you know, the nice place like Harbin. So some of you might be saying, what the hell is there in Harbin? Well, Harbin boasts they have, in winter, they have this ice city. They scarp up all this ice, and then they look like humongous kind of like structures, and then they put neon lights and colorful lights, and everything is like so colorful. You can see from afar. It's like, oh man, it's like another place, you know. That's one thing. But no, now is not the time for the ice city, because the ice city only starts in December, so now it's November. There are other things in Harbin as well. There's a tiger park. That's one of my interests. Okay, I had been there before. I want to see it another time and see whether there are more products being sold in that market. Well, the tiger park is not just a park. You can see all the Siberian tigers, all the tigers from India, or even lions as well, and leopards. But they are also selling tiger products as well. The last time actually I saw was they actually have this capsules that have been like mashed down. You know, the bones that have been like crushed down and mashed down into like powdery form for some kind of an aphrodisiac. So this is what I'll be showing you when I reach there, and maybe, you know, I mean, if everything goes well, then I can show all this to you. In fact, my last video when I in Harbin last time, I did actually take some photographs on this, but I think it's better now that if I make a video of this, it's even look better. So I'll be there. I know it's going to be cold, so I'll be prepared as well. But no, I'm not going to see the tiger. I mean, the tigers, I've been there, I've seen it before. That's not my interest. My interest is to see all those aphrodisiacs. And then the other thing I want to tell is that Harbin is one of the places in China where bear bao is very common. They have these capsules of bear bao, just put like, you know, in a box, and then they sell it to customers. There are lots of them, anywhere, everywhere you can get them. So, and I know how they harvest all this bear bao, and it's quite sad actually to see the bears, you know, their cage, and then they use some kind of thing to poke on the bear, and then they harvest the bao from the bear. It's quite actually interesting actually, and then just to see the end product of it. But the thing is that I want to show you guys that why a lot of the animal products are so in demand, so much in demand, okay, in China. And a lot of them, they're used for just medicinal medicines, no? And for, or some kind of an aphrodisiac to stay strong or whatever, to curb illness. Okay, that's one area. The other thing, I'm going to filmed this is a museum. Now, in the Second World War, there is a museum. Well, there's a place in China called a Unit 731, and it's actually based in Harbin. The Japanese actually experiment soldiers captured from the Chinese people or soldiers from the Allied forces, and then they experiment on, or even like common people as well when they captured them. And then once they captured them, unlike the Germans, I mean, they mostly put the Jews in some kind of camps, and then they gas them. But the Japanese are even worse. They actually experiment on these people. So actually, now this whole place is a museum. They even have vials of those I don't know, biological medicine on display in this museum. Apparently, when I was there the last time, they won't allow us to take photos. But apparently now, I think I'm going to use this camera or this video. Now, since there is this technology now, I'm going to walk around maybe to film some of this for this collection. A lot of people have been asking me about that, because I bought a book on that as well, and some of them, they have read that. For me, it's very sad the way they experiment on these people. They use, you talk about biological warfare and chemical warfare. I mean, these people are basically rats for experiments. It's so sad, no? So these are one of the two places I'll be going around in Harbin. And then of course there are a few institutions which I'll be visiting as well, like the Harbin Normal University, which I'll be going there as well to do some research on certain areas on my project. And then there's the of course, then I'll show you guys that the main street, the thoroughfare, all the happenings in Harbin. In summer it was actually quite nice to see that place, but now it's slightly cold, so there is a slight difference now to actually see those things happening. So yeah, I'll be showing you what's going on, and then I'll be recording some of the last time when I was there, actually I recorded one busker playing some very, very talented music. And this time round, I want to see whether there are any more of these buskers around. So yeah, stay tuned, and then I'll see you again. I'll talk to you again. Bye.